Before the beginning, the powerful lizards known as dinosaurs ruled the Earth. They were the most successful creatures ever to inhabit the planet, almost unmatched in their capacity to adapt to their environment. They seemed so secure, yet they died out virtually overnight. Countless years later, animals thrived on the planet, most notably the organisms known as the human race. One such human, who would be later known on the website YouTube as ViddyOGamesForFun, or to shorten it, Viddy, will get a review request in the comments section from one named Latawoo to review an RPG that's available on Steam for a low price, titled Mr. Triangle's Adventure, a game that features the Dinosaur King itself. Viddy would play a number of hours on the game, only to encounter an odd glitch. When entering a door on a ship, the character known as Axel could not move nor go back into the corridor he was just in. The developers were notified, and it seemed without so much as a reply the glitch was overcome. The game was likely to be completed, yet no review was uploaded on the ViddyOGamesForFun channel, and the game was mentioned quite a few times in passing. Why was this? Had another glitch surfaced? Was it getting hard to progress through the adventure? Or was it not that good of an RPG that only playthroughs of Chrono Trigger and other similar games made for a better alternative? So, it's time to answer all these questions and then some, in a video that's a combination of a review and discussion. It shall be known as the ViddyOGamesForFun Legend of Mr. Triangle's Adventure. It is hard not to be inspired in some cases by playing a specific game and wanting to design a game, even with the supposedly limited resources available. One could imagine someone playing an early Final Fantasy game, for example, and wanting to make a game just like that. Throw in the strangeness that wouldn't be out of place in a game like Earthbound, and some mostly bizarre story idea about a shape and his buddy saving the world from an evil alien who conducts experiments, including removing a voice from an ape and mutating sentient vegetables, and you've got Mr. Triangle's Adventure. Powered by the official Hamster Republic role-playing game construction engine, I guess this isn't RPG Maker, huh? This game features graphics that could be considered crude, and a relatively interesting and extensive soundtrack. There is a good versus evil story which sometimes goes in unexpected directions. The battle system, with its active time battle mechanic, is familiar yet features a few potentially unique mechanics, as well as a noticeable level of challenge when it comes to utilizing your party members' skills properly and working out the patterns of the enemies and bosses. And of course, there's a big world and plenty of side content. Let's start with the production values. Yes, this game doesn't exactly look great. The best word to describe it would be crude. But then again, this was made on a supposedly simple engine. It does look colourful, but the details on the sprites and locales are really lacking and not that sharp. The character sprites also don't show much in the way of emotion, outside of the victory fanfare animations that can also be seen in the HUD when you shop for equipment. Still, it'd be unfair to compare it to, say, Final Fantasy VI/3, which came out years ago. There are clay figures of the characters that were used mostly for marketing, which honestly look better than they do in the finished game. The sound is a bit of a mixed bag, sounding more like a cross between an 8-bit and 16-bit game. The sound effects of fighting sounds, beeps and so on can get really annoying. And this can also apply to some of the music, especially when it loops over and over. The music is not all bad, and contains a fair amount of variety. Some of it is otherworldly, some of it is emotional, some of it is catchy, and some of it is just grating on the ears. Any tunes you like can be listened to at a DJ place in a later section of the game. The production values seem to contain a minute amount of charm, which adds to the strange nature of the story. Yep, their story is as strange as it gets, with an animate triangle, his friends, an evil alien, a team of mutated vegetables, other strange worlds, including inside a computer, and dinosaurs such as the Dinosaur King. Apart from characters sometimes being unlikable and bland, and jokes that sometimes don't land, it's not that bad of a story from what has been seen so far in this legend. This legend may only, as of now, extend to the halfway point of a 30-hour or so long game. The game can be a little buggy, with a big glitch encountered when moving a character named Axel through a door on a ship. This appears to have been fixed, so anyone playing it now shouldn't have to necessarily worry about that. But one thing you may have to worry about, subjectively speaking, is the difficulty and the exploration. With the exploration, the overworld looks bland and features stretches of land that can make it easy to get lost. Close to the halfway point, the game opens up where you can use a vehicle to go almost anywhere. Those of you who know the second half of Final Fantasy VI may draw comparisons. This is where it was more easy than usual to get lost, especially when you would have to go back to a previous location to make something new happen, in what is probably one of the more poignant moments in the game. Some of that is mostly not obvious, and this also applies to battle strategies. First of all, the battle system is very similar to a lot of early RPGs. You have a gauge which fills up accordingly depending on the character speed, and when it's full, you can attack, use an item, and so on. The gauges seem slow at first, but when you have more stat increases and party members, this doesn't become an issue. In fact, you may not notice it at first. What you may notice more are some cool special abilities. For example, Triangle's ape friend Jojo can use banana peels to heal party members or increase their base stats, unless a stat reset happens in certain situations. And every time Jojo tosses a banana peel, you can accumulate peels to make items such as smoothies, this game's equivalent of potions, as well as items that can revive fallen party members, this game's equivalent of Phoenix Downs. Speaking of fallen party members, it feels like a good amount of the time is spent healing and reviving party members. Some enemies and bosses are just relentless and do massive amounts of damage. There is only so much stat buffing you can do if your characters, whether you designate them as healers or not, keep on dying. Stat increases do seem to stay with a character when they come back to life, outside of stat resets of course, and whether that's a programming issue or some kind of decision to make battles as fair or balanced as seemingly possible is unclear. Also, when you get a game over, the game stops playing, which makes it hard to record footage for. It was because of the glitch with Axel, seemingly tough battles, and now the vague wandering around the world in what appears to be the game's second half that makes the completion of its legend hard to accomplish. There is a fair amount of side content, some of which is quite challenging, and mostly optional items and equipment, such as Jojo being able to heal mostly all party members rather than just one. There is of course an ultimate weapon, which no RPG can possibly be without. But how much of it is really required to make the game fair? Or is it supposed to make it more of a cakewalk? The game's official website does provide hints, sometimes complete solutions, for boss fights, as well as some of the side content of the game. And a playtester for the game has a Let's Play of the game on YouTube under the channel Zippy Weeds. As far as Let's Play material goes, it's mostly laid back and quiet, with voice acting generally done for the text dialogue. But this is one way to see pretty much everything the game has to offer. One should try not to watch it unless they are really stuck. Still, it's really a question of why there have to be boss fight solutions on the website. Are the fight patterns really that hard to figure out? How much do you have to alternate between looking after health and stats versus attacking? Or is it just me? Still, this legend can finish now with a few things to say. Thanks to Latawoo for the request and being the first one to request a game too. It was partly because of that the possibility of reviewing this game couldn't be ignored and never left the mind. And to the developers, good luck with your current and future projects. There seems to be a good game in Mr. Triangle's Adventure, and its low price on Steam makes it easy to have a go and see if that's the case. Just give it a bit of time beyond the potentially silly vegetable stuff, an interesting early exploration, and you might like it, and do well in completing your own legend by foiling the evil alien's horrible plans. This legend you've seen unfold in this video may actually not be over, because years down the line, it may end and have a credit sequence to boot. But for now, it is something to take a break from and probably not mention on Video Games for Fun again, if ever, and for a long time. Now for the epilogue that's not necessarily related to the legend, a vague discussion topic, how to make a good RPG. In regards to fair battles, one has to wonder if it's down to luck sometimes. There might be that special move that wipes out your party unless you defended against it pretty well or are able to use a big healing technique or spell. Yet sometimes the enemy may not even use it, and so just going back to a save point is the best way to try and win. This can also depend on a mostly understandable and compelling battle system that's fun to experiment and play with, as well as customizing characters. It depends on the game. A game may let you select a class for a character, other games, especially heavily story-driven ones, may not. Characters that have specific special abilities may be delighted to know their help is needed in battle. But there are games where a character is rendered obsolete or is not really that good at all. Why should I level up this character? They suck! In regards to the equipment, accessories and items, it should be understandable with a clear and not so cluttered user interface. NPCs, exploration and side content. You know what's a staple of an RPG? Just moving around, talking to folks, getting stuff, getting tasks, all in the hope of progressing through the story. That is something you may not know how to do if characters say the same line of dialogue over and over again, or if there's no journal, hint system, or list of objectives. Any side objectives should not appear to be non-optional. Why is it I can't beat this boss unless I have the sword of video games for fun? That is something that requires a lot of grinding to obtain, by the way. Also, random encounters. A number of people view random encounters as annoying or dated or both, and it does depend on the game. One may ask why there isn't the option of insta-killing easy monsters just by touching them on the overworld, like in Earthbound, or seamless transitions to battles on the overworld, like in Chrono Trigger. Still, not too high a random encounter rate, please. And of course, there needs to be a good tutorial, which I already discussed in a previous video, and a good story. That's for another video. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video about the legend of Mr. Triangle's adventure on Video Games for Fun. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and whether you're going to go on your own adventure there. And above all, what makes a good RPG for you? Or any other gaming topics for that matter. Have a good day or night or whatever it is, and I'll see you next weekend for my Link's Awakening review as well as preparations for October.